Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Approximate Podcast. My name's Jamie French, and with me, as always, is
Orion Quest.
Orion Quest. No goof this week. You know why?
Don't get me started.
Shh, shh, shh. We have a very serious subject that we're going to be talking about today. Very serious. Do you know what it is?
No.
You read the script.
Yes, I still don't know.
We are talking about some of the best fight scenes in movie history. Yes, very serious subject. A subject that I don't know a whole lot about. Orion, you're kind of a connoisseur of the old fight scenes in movies. You're a fan of action movies.
Fan of action movies, fan of combat fight scenes, stuff like that.
Because I'm so ill-equipped, I thought it might be a good idea to kind of bring an expert on board. Okay? So this is a very special show, and everybody who's listening is in for a real treat. And it's such an honor to have this guest that we're having on the show. Okay, so you people are listening at home, you might know him from, I don't want to say his name yet because this is so cool that we have him on. Build a little drama, a little suspense.
I know, right?
Okay, so he is an independent director of action films. Let's see. You might know him from movies such as Swamp Zombies, Curse of the Wolf, Fist of the Vampire, Warriors of the Apocalypse. I'm going to keep going. Wendigo, Bound by Blood, Ninja,
don't
Prophecy
stop,
of Death. I'm not stopping. There's so many here, and they're fucking awesome. Bridal Party Massacre. Fuck yeah. Skull Forest, Blood Mercury, Angel of Reckoning, Hell's Cat Revenge. Ladies and gentlemen, you may have already seen him on Red Letter Media as well. The great, the one, the only, Len Kabasinski. Thank you. Welcome to the show.
Hey.
Thanks for having me. Yes, I am Len Kabasinski. Thanks for having me. A lot of fun. I appreciate the intro. That might be the most grandiose intro I've ever had, or in the top couple. We'll put you in the top couple.
We'll take
it. And you know what? According to the IMDb, that's not even the complete list because, and we'll get to it towards the end of the show. But there's more stuff coming.
Well, if it's on the IMDb, it's 110% factual.
Official and actual.
Which means it's completely not factual. Got new stuff coming as we're speaking here. I mean, like 10 minutes ago, I was doing closed captioning for my latest film, Blood Prism.
Nice.
Which funny juxtaposed to this episode here that we're doing, Blood Prism is not a fight movie. It is like a dark comedy horror type film. There are no fight scenes in it.
Oh wow.
However, if you hate it, if you hate Blood Prism for whatever reason, it's a and we'll go into it later, but
it was IMDb's fault because it was not factual. Oh, sorry.
Well,
I cut you off.
It goes back to that's released February 20th to Amazon Prime and stuff, so look for Blood Prism. But if for those that hate it and want to see fight scene action oriented, Len, Hellcat's Revenge is released just a couple weeks later. It's going to be out all over the place. Walmart, Family Video, you name it. It's out all over the place.
So Hellcats isn't even released yet. It's about to come out.
Yeah, it's about to come out.
Okay.
March 13th is the street date.
Oh, okay. Because I'm just going on. I guess that's the production date is at 2017. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, technically, it was done, ready to roll, signed to the distributor in 2017.
Okay.
And then they sat on it for a few months here. And actually, they did some, I guess, I don't know, emergency, I put that in quotations, ADR for it. So Matt Smith, who had worked with me on ADR stuff before, went through and did some things. And I guess it's something that there's a Netflix potential for it, that kind of thing. I know people nowadays say Netflix, and it's like, oh my God, so cool. Netflix really doesn't pay anything, so it's like, it's cool to get on Netflix for the exposure.
Exposure, it's an exposure deal.
It's really all Netflix is good for.
Well, sir, best of luck, and I do want to get into your upcoming projects and things you're working on, but do you mind if we go ahead and dive right into the meat of this show? Are we ready
Go
to
for
talk about our favorite fight scenes in movie? Here's the deal. I'm again, I'm not the biggest action fan of the world. I definitely appreciate it. I definitely appreciate all the hard work that goes into a properly filmed and choreographed fight scene. I really do. It's not the type of thing I pay attention to. But luckily, my co-host here loves it, eats it, breathes it. So what I want to do is, just so the audience knows, the way we set this up is that each person on this show, me, Orion, and Len, we all have 3 picks. So we're just kind of got to go. We're going to go in a circle, and we're going to start with my man here, Orion, because he wanted to do this so bad, and he wanted to have you on the show so bad, Len. So we're gonna.
I'm already a fan, because I know not only do you do direction and choreography, but I believe you're actually a martial artist yourself. You do have a few belts in a few disciplines. Is that correct?
Yep. I'll be going for hopefully next year, sooner than later, obviously, in this year is I'll be going for my 4th degree black belt. So I still compete here and there. I won Pennsylvania Karate Rating Association state titles in fighting and kata last year. So I competed enough to compile enough points, and I won enough to compile enough points to take home those titles. So as a 43-year-old man now, I can still do it. I train at every week at Team TKO here in Erie, Pennsylvania, under Master Instructor Brian Arrington. So I'm still fighting 18-year-old champions, and I'm a 43-year-old man. And they don't want to see me fight, so they'll get in the ring with me, and I'm still a feared guy at 43 years old, so I can still kick to the head and stuff like that. So,
Nice.
As you should be, sir. Okay, Orion. So here's what we're gonna do. You start off with these aren't going in any real particular order, so just name your first one, and let's start this ball rolling and see where we go.
Let's see.
Your first pick.
My first pick is going to be Kill or Be Killed from 1980. Stars a guy. I knew it. I knew you knew that movie.
Okay, wait. So Kill or Be Killed, the director is Ivan Hall, who's been directing films from like 1967 to 1988. Also has movies Vengeance Cops, Funeral for an Assassin, Kill and Kill Again. Yeah.
Kill and Kill Again. That's the sequel.
Yeah.
That's the sequel.
So break down this movie.
That poster is sitting about 10 feet over here.
Yeah. Nice.
My Kill and Kill Again poster. It was my gift to myself last year when I bought my new house here. And it's one of my all-time favorite taglines on the poster. He is not one of the best. He is the best. That's like my favorite tagline for a movie.
Nice.
Tagline.
Okay, so
and he's
tell
like
us a little
kicking
bit.
through a brick wall.
Yeah.
Only the best can.
Just a quick runoff. The main character is named Steve Chase. He's played by a guy named James Ryan. He travels to the desert for what he believes is an Olympic style competition. Actually, it's this ex-Nazi general by the name of Baron von Rudolph. If that's not a bad dude's bad character, I don't know what it is. Anyway, he was mad because he was mad that the Japanese team beat his German team in the 1936 Summer Olympics, and he wanted to take revenge over that. So he invited the trainer of that team, a guy by the name of Biaggi, to put some fighters together, come out to the desert, and we're going to have an Olympic style fight. When Ryan gets out there, he finds out that these are duels to the death, and he wants no part of it.
Yeah. Hold on a second, Ryan, real quick. Yeah. If that didn't win your viewers over, your listeners over now, they will never be friends with me, because that's like the best synopsis ever to a movie. So I just wanted to interrupt and make sure that guys still watch the damn movie, because
please interrupt. Yeah, we want to have a discussion here, but I just wanted him to get through the synopsis, because remember, this is favorite fights. So let's actually get to
the fight. Let's get to the fight
that you love so much. It's a special one.
Well, there are many, as you already know, there are many fights in the movie. There's the climactic fight scene at the end. There's many different fights, but the best way to introduce his style was one of the characters. I believe his name was Vigo. He was a small guy. All right, had a friend that was a puppet, a hand puppet that they've been through vaudeville and circuses together, and he gets picked on by some of the martial arts guys there. They run and chase him and take his doll away, and out of nowhere, jumps
It's not
Steve
it's not a doll.
Oh yeah, it's not a doll. It's an action figure. We're bad. We're bad.
So bad.
Anyway, out of nowhere, he's the little man is getting his ass handed to him when out of nowhere, Steve Chase jumps into the picture and starts
throws down.
He throws down. Even his specialty move. I don't know if you call it kung fu, but it's actually where he's in a stance and he'll whistle. You remember that?
I remember that. Oh, I got some great comments for this guy's choreography. So.
Oh, please take it over. Let's hear.
Oh, I am a humongous James Ryan fan. Humongous James Ryan fan. And really, after Kill or Be Killed, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I mean, America was calling to come be an action star, and he pretty much said, "Screw it! I'm staying in South Africa, where I'm from and live." And he had, I guess, not a lot of desire to come live over here and work. So through the years, you see all these South African productions, which Kill or Be Killed was. He keeps popping up. Space Mutiny, not to get sidetracked, but a legendary bad B movie.
Yes.
James Ryan is in that, and it was filmed in South Africa. So he pops up in these films throughout, South Africa's like action movie history in the 70s and 80s. But anyways,
yeah,
I will link to a film we're not going to talk about too much here, but Jim Cotta. If you look at Steve Chase's choreography, he was Jim Cotta before Jim Cotta came out.
Hell
Steve
yeah.
Chase's choreography is packed full of backflips and just crazy shit. I mean, take aside the pommel horse scene and that kind of gymnastics level stuff, but I mean in terms of the backflips and all that stuff that Steve Chase does, or actor James Ryan does in the film, he very much has a Jim Cotta style. If you watch him, in that fight scene, it's not like he's doing like Northern Shaolin Kung Fu.
Right.
He's not doing Chuck Norris-ish Tang Soo Do.
Right. He's in the air a lot of the time.
Right. Or, a Lauren Avedon's Taekwondo style or something like that. He's doing none of that shit. He's doing basically Jim Cotta.
Wow. You're right. You're absolutely right. Now that I think back on the scene. Absolutely.
That was a palm to the back of the head while performing a 1.5 twist over a dude. Come on.
What was it? Was that your favorite move from the fight?
Oh, he crushes it in the climactic fight of the movie. He uses that move again. That's supposed to be his signature. That's his Mortal Kombat go-to power move. That's his fatality move.
My favorite move was the heavily
that's the one where you have to hit left. Yeah, his move there would be the left, right trigger, left, and hit a bunch of buttons, and he does that move. So
yeah.
So it's the fight with not the fight with the little person, but the fight that was instigated because they were picking on the little person. Right. So everybody go check that out. You can find that on YouTube. Really easy.
It's a classic.
Easy.
Both movies are super, super awesome. If people check out the Kill and Kill Again, it's not so much. Of course, there's fights and stuff in it, but if they're looking for all-out fight scenes, it's the one you'd mentioned, Orion. It's the Kill or Be Killed is the movie you want to see. Kill and Kill Again is still good, but in terms of like an all-out, go to a tournament and just fight all fucking day in your movie, it's Kill or Be Killed. So.
You're correct, sir.
Nice. Okay, well, Len, we are going clockwise. That makes sense where we're sitting. So you're next. Okay. Let's see what's your pick?
I am gonna pick, and I'm not even looking at any items here because I'm just gonna fly with this. My first pick is the ending fight scene, maybe my favorite fight scene of all time.
Oh my God.
Just in terms of gritty, realistic style fighting. true to both forms of martial arts that both gentlemen are using. It is none other than 1983's Lone Wolf McQuade, Chuck Norris versus David Carradine, right at the end of the movie.
There we
got
go.
The choreography I really think is flawless. I challenge everybody, watch the ending scene, because important when you're choreographing fights is you gotta pick moves and string together moves that your actors can pull off.
Right.
Meaning you're not going to ask David Carradine to do some jumping Steve Chase backflip maneuver when the
Right.
actor, it's not acceptable to double. Back then, you got to remember, getting into the 80s, it wasn't acceptable for a lot of stunt doubles for fights anymore, because guys started doing all their own stunts in terms of like fight work.
Right.
And we have classic hard style Tang Sudo from Chuck Norris, which he did his whole career. He has his spinning back kick, his back fist, all that stuff. Those are I know a thing or two about Korean martial arts, so I got some experience there. And he's doing classic Tang Sudo there. And David Carradine does, which I believe is Northern Shaolin. I believe it's Praying Mantis is what he's doing for most of that fight scene. But I challenge people, when they watch it, the big thing is look at David Carradine when he's being hit.
Yeah.
Because his acting is absolutely A++. His face is contorting, his body's spinning around. I mean, it's hard to believe when you see David Carradine that he's not actually really getting,
right,
cat beat out of him for real. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think it's a great scene. It really displays hard style Korean martial arts versus very fluent, water flowing Northern Shaolin Kung Fu style. I think it's a great fight. It's not a fight where you're going to see the guys just hockey punch each other in the face 35 times or get kicked without bleeding 50 times in the head. I mean, it's really a lot of just real realism in the fight. That's why I love it.
And that speaks to David Carradine's acting, because there's a little bit of trivia here. Apparently, Chuck Norris said of David Carradine's martial arts, he said, and this is a quote, he said that David Carradine is every bit as good a martial artist as I am an actor. What do you think of that?
I think it was probably a left-handed compliment at David, probably. You got to remember, Chuck Norris was training with Bruce Lee and that stuff. So David Carradine is always going to be seen as the guy that stole kind of the role from Bruce Lee. And being a big karate guy myself, though, here's what I have to say about that. And I don't hate Bruce Lee movies.
Right.
Being a producer of movies, if I had the choice of who I would have picked to play Kung Fu, Bruce Lee or David Carradine, I will go on record as saying I would have picked David Carradine, because the acting complexities of that character Bruce Lee could not have handled. I'm sorry. As an actor, pick Bruce Lee's best movie and then look at David Carradine in something like Bound for Glory, which was like an Oscar-nominated picture. You can't tell me that as an actor you can step in and say,
Right.
I would pick him because of the acting complexities. It's a melodrama type show too. It's Kung Fu wasn't just a action program. There was a lot of story development, character development in it.
But you also
there was a lot of heat between them.
Yeah, it sounds like there was, based on all the research I've done. But now, if you're going to pick Carradine for those attributes, you're also going to have to pick Carradine from a certain period of time, because in his later, I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, when we get into the late 80s, into like the Future Force territory and stuff, those were not obviously glowing moments for his physique and his career and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then, you know what? God bless him, because as you got towards the end of his life, and I think everybody knows how that ended, he was looking pretty good physically in terms of like Kill Bill and stuff like that.
No.
He had gotten
you
back
know
into
what?
shape.
It's easy to forget, but he actually, if you have to go out, at least he did go out on a relatively high note. There was that really low spot there for a little while in his later career. But then to end on a Tarantino film, that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice.
Proper way out.
It was a good way out for him. I'd like to see him kind of return to the spotlight a little bit. I think he's a talented enough actor. He deserved that.
Yeah.
And really, if you go back, if anybody has the DVD to Kill Bill 2, I almost wanted to pick this fight scene just to be obscure, but the
Right.
best fight scene in the whole series is pretty much deleted from
Oh
both
no.
films.
Oh, I think I
David
know the
Carradine,
one.
Michael
It's the
Jai
one with
White.
the sword, right?
It's Michael Jai White versus David Carradine, and I think Michael Jai White doesn't appear at all. He only appears in the bonus features
Right.
in a
Didn't it?
deleted scene from part
Yeah.
2.
Didn't that fight happen? It was like in an alleyway or something like that. Am
Yeah.
I thinking about it right? Yeah. Yeah, that was
Yep, it's on
amazing.
for Kill Bill 2, it's in the deleted scenes. Yep.
Fuck yeah.
So yeah, he went out on a good note. The Future Force period, although it's Cameron Mitchell-ish fun to see him wasted all the time and being kind of weird and making some weird choices and
Yeah.
stuff. But overall, I mean, I still love all those movies. I love Future Force. In fact, I've got a bunch of. I'm in my movie den here in my house here as I'm sitting here, and
Yeah.
I've got, you name it. I've got Killer Be Killed and Kill Again right there. I've got Future Force and Future Zone and Evil Tunes and just a bunch of shit over there. So,
Nice.
But yeah, I really like Lone Wolf McQuade. I didn't go too much into the synopsis. All you need to know is it's a Chuck Norris movie. It's probably his best one in terms
Well,
of acting for him. It's probably Chuck's best movie and best character.
yep.
It's very much a Walker-ish, Texas
Yeah,
Ranger-ish
that's
role.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That it like kind of it really like
I think that
firmly
was the
planted the
predecessor
seed
to
of
the-
that
to the
whole
series, yeah.
that Walker kind of character. Totally.
Yeah. And there's some other legendary actors and actresses in the movie. Barbara Carrera, I think, is his love interest in it.
Yes.
Obviously, David Carradine's the villain. LQ Jones, who I think just died recently, I think,
Oh.
is in the movie.
No,
So there's
not to
tons of
forget-
good movies.
Not to forget Chicote. Good old Chicote's in there.
And he's in
Robert. I can't think of his last
I can't
name.
think of his name.
But after he played the kid officer.
Oh yeah.
Robert
think of his name.
Beltran.
Beltran?
Robert Beltran.
Beltran. Okay.
Yeah, he
Plays his younger partner, I guess, officer on the force there.
Yeah, this car's got turbo. Yeah, turbo this. Oh, it's a great movie.
Lots of cool scenes though. Don't just YouTube the ending fight, people. Go watch the movie. It's awesome. So Lone Wolf McQuade.
Welcome to my house yonder, Mr. McQuade.
That's right.
Mr. McQuade.
Mr. McQuade.
What you got?
Okay.
What
You know
got,
what?
Steve?
I probably say that line consistently throughout, like if I have people over my house, I quote that movie a lot. It's one of my
Nice.
Step Brothers, stuff like that. I quote that a lot in my daily life. It's not just the you're tearing me apart, Lisa stuff around my house, but I say that stuff a lot too. But if it's not the room, it's little quirky lines like that, and I love the "Welcome to my hacienda, Mr. McQuade."
That's so
I say
nice.
that a lot, so. All right,
So-
I'm done talking about Lone
No-
Wolf McQuade. You're up.
No problem. I am up, and I'm going to do an easy one. Again, my 3 picks are a little odd, little weird, because this isn't necessarily my wheelhouse, the whole thing. So I was
That doesn't mean you
racing,
can't enjoy them.
and absolutely not. No, I do, and I'm so lucky to have my co-host that can teach me these things. He fills in my gaps. We have a good partnership here. And so I'm going to be watching a lot more of these movies now that we're actually talking about this. But to get onto my pick, I picked a weird one. These are favorite fight scenes. And my first fight scene that I really love is hardly a fight at all. And that is from 1999's Fight Club. But it's not any of the cool fights that people might be thinking about.
Oh no.
No. Okay, so Fight Club. Everybody knows Fight Club, directed by David Fincher. He's also known for such movies or such projects as he did the let's see, Bop Till You Drop music video for Rick Springfield.
Okay. Rick Springfield, Bop Till You Drop.
He's also known for doing Paula Abdul's Straight Up music video. And IMDb didn't pull up much else.
I didn't know either of those things, so I have learned something new today. So
that's all we know about David Fincher. But also, he just a weird blip in 1999 did Fight Club, and one of my favorite fight scenes in any movie was it's the scene where our hero, the narrator, it's Ed Norton. It plays the nameless narrator, is in the parking lot with Brad Pitt, Tyler Durden. Okay. Now it's far too late in the game to even say spoilers. We all know how this movie ends. He's fighting with himself. But the whole thing, the reason why I like this particular quote unquote fight is because what it does for the story, and that's going to be a reoccurring theme in my fight picks. But the thing that I like a lot about this particular fight scene is it really only involves, as far as the fight itself is concerned, it only involves like one really good hit. And that's that hit to the ear that that Ed Norton clumsily gives Brad Pitt. You punched my ear.
You punched my ear. Yeah.
The thing that I love about that, as simple as it is because in the narrative, it marks a turning point for our character. See, up until this point, our guy is kind of a split personality, somewhat schizophrenic guy that at this point in the film we don't even know about. We literally think that Brad Pitt is another actual character. It's just another part of Ed Norton's personality. We don't know that yet.
I think the choice.
But
I like what you.
But the thing that I like about it is his mind up until that point, now that we know that what we know about his character, his mind was simply just beginning to crack up until the point in the parking lot where this clumsy hit to the ear happens. And it's at that time where that hit lands on that ear is where everything starts to manifest for this character's goal. This is where his brain broke enough to formulate a plan. Even though he wasn't aware of it at a time, the plan was to start a fight club. And like so many halfway inspired plans where the muse just hits you out of nowhere, it's a clumsy endeavor. But what it ultimately led to was his want and his drive, even though he wasn't consciously aware of it at the time, to essentially bring about a kind of an apocalypse of sorts. To kind of, this was that punch to the ear laid the groundwork for his ultimate unconscious goal, which was to make a level playing ground, bring everybody back down to this like anachronistic time period in life where we are free of this is according to his philosophy, his character's somewhat flawed philosophy, where everything starts from zero, everything starts new, and we go back to this time where you are living of the earth and free from all the pretension of modern society. And it all started with that stupid hit on the ear.
With a
and
punch
from
to the
that,
ear. Yep.
yeah, and from that was the germ, that was the seed that unleashed hell and all of
For lack of a better
yeah.
phrase.
And so as a narrative device, that's why I picked that as my first fight. Would you there's not a whole lot to talk about it besides saying that. Was there anything about Fight Club or that particular scene, Orion, that you liked?
I've always been a line type of guy when it comes to movies, and he basically said, "You've never been in a fight. Well, how do you know yourself if you've never been in a fight?"
Yeah,
I can remember bits and pieces from the movie.
No, that's
but that
exactly
one
it.
line, is like, do you really? Do you know who you
and
are?
And that line's perfect because it's that character unconsciously or subconsciously saying, here's where we're gonna step over the line. How do you even know yourself? That sounds like a cool line, but what it represents is something much bigger.
Mhm.
And it's awesome. Len, do you have any thoughts about Fight Club? It could be that scene or any.
Yeah, I think the big thing in Fight Club, and obviously I think it's a good movie and stuff like that. I'm not going to go on record of saying I thought it was like oh my God, the greatest thing ever. But I was entertained. It was a good movie.
Oh, right.
I think it's an important movie. One of the things I think it really, really, really did well was, again, Brad Pitt is not doubled a whole lot in the movie, but the big thing is, though, Brad Pitt can't fight. He's not a fighter. I mean, in
No,
real life, he can't
right.
fight.
You
The
can
editing
tell.
in his fight scenes are right. You can tell, but you know what? I mean, me or you that have seen a shit ton of martial art movies and stuff like that. And I'm not saying you have to be a martial artist to be a fighter. That's not what I'm saying here.
Right.
But Brad Pitt obviously cannot fight.
No.
The editing in his fight scenes is really well because they make him look good. It flows along. Nothing really. Never once when I was watching the film, though, did I say, "Well, none of this is really believable." I never
Right.
thought that at all. Everything looked believable because the editing was tight, the pacing was tight on everything.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt got down to his 2% body fat or whatever, so he's shredded, ripped in it. He looks the role, but they used editing and choreography to make him look much better
Oh,
than
absolutely.
he is as a
Absolutely.
real life fighter, kind of thing.
Yeah, because in the narrator's mind, Ed Norton's character, in his mind, Brad Pitt's supposed to represent everything that is the coolest, everything that he's not
Right.
in real life.
Right.
And you'd think that because of that, there might be a little opportunity to actually implant some of that. It's like some actual maybe martial arts or maybe more highly choreographed moves. But I think David Fincher went. I think the brawling aspect was enough for him.
Right.
And so they just
Speaking of
exemplified that.
Right. Speaking of the brawling aspect too, I'll bring this up here because I think it's important with the choreography for Fight Club. I do not have the IMDb in front of me, but I do believe legendary fight choreography Jimmy Nickerson did the fight choreography for Fight Club.
Oh,
He would
okay.
have done stuff for Jimmy Nickerson would have done stuff for who I think he was a real life boxer at one point, but he did obviously stuff for the Rocky films and stuff. If you want to see a
Oh,
B movie,
wow.
a B movie that Jimmy Nickerson did all the choreography for, that is a brutal fight movie, that is not a martial art movie, that I love to death.
Yeah.
It is with George Rivero. It is 1989, I think. A movie called Fist Fighter.
Okay.
The late Edward Albert, George Rivero, Matthias Hughes, Chuck Connors, they're all in that movie. It is Fist Fighter. It is all boxing, brutal stuff. It's like Fight Club on steroids when it comes to like fight scenes.
Wow.
So-
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, because this is going to go up on YouTube. So for every recommendation that you give is going to be listed in the description. Thanks for that. We're definitely going to check that out. So I tell you, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Freaking A. So Orion, it's your second pick. What do you got?
All righty.
Oh God. There you go.
This is my second pick is a movie called The Glimmer Man. Came out in 1996.
Oh boy.
Features Steven Seagal. The synopsis of the movie is basically he was what's called a Glimmer Man, which is a government agent, worked for the intelligence. He was an operative, and he's investigating a murder with his partner. I believe that's Sean Wayans. I could be wrong. Actually, it's Keenan Ivory Wayans.
No, it's Keenan Ivory Wayans. Yeah.
Sorry. Approximate. Anyway, they become kind of a lethal weapon type duo to try to handle this case. But my fight scene, it takes place at this restaurant where he's off to meet a contact and get some information from him. And it seems that as he goes to the restaurant, he's messed with by the doorman, the guy that answers the phone, as well as a couple of wise guys. And he not only dispatches them quickly, but does all sorts of major damage to the place using his variation of what I believe would be Aikido. He's supposed to be like
combat Aikido.
Yeah, he's supposed to be an Aikido master. And at the end of the fight, someone calls in and asks they want a reservation, to which he responds, that we can't do that. He looks around, surveys the place. They're going to be closed for about 2 months or so. Why don't you call back then? One of my favorite scenes as well. What do you think?
Yeah. My second pick that I'm not going to mention right just yet, but there's a similarity here is Seagal really is the one that brought the combat aikido look to American cinema once Above the Law came out and
Right.
all that. But I think in the fight scene you brought up, you really get to see a lot of that combat aikido brought to light again, much like he would have done in Above the Law. It's a lot of flips and taking momentum from your opponent and throwing them into tables and throwing them all over the place, that kind of thing. So I love how it captures a unique style to him. Name another actor that does combat aikido that you've seen in a movie.
Hold on, hold
Nobody.
on. Actually, no, not even Christian Bale
In
in any of the Batman movies. Well, actually,
not
no,
combat aikido.
no, you're not combat aikido. No, I can't really think of a guy. I see combat judo and like I could see judo and Lethal Weapon, but I've not seen combat aikido in any other.
The
Yeah,
particular
there's actually some Brazilian jiu-jitsu and stuff in Lethal Weapon. There's that kind
Right.
of stuff.
the
So,
particular
but yeah, combat aikido is really unique to Seagal. It's
yeah.
almost like that hard style Tang Sudo to Chuck Norris. It's kind of his thing. I mean, if you gave me two actors and a stage in front of me and they did a fight scene and they said, "Guess who I am?" and did some moves. If they did combat aikido, I'd be like, "You're trying to be Steven Seagal." You know what I mean? You could pick off the acting and choreography. And I think my second pick you could say that too is if you could take two people and just say reenact this scene. Who is this? You'd be like, oh, that's Steven Seagal. He's doing that patty cake thing with his hands and he's throwing people around and stuff. It's him.
During my research of Glimmer Man for that particular scene, the thing that I liked about it was how he used his acumen to and I mean, of course, this is all scripted, but I loved how it was almost in that particular scene used to comedic effect. Like there was a lot of times where we were watching that scene where we were cracking up laughing because it just the comedy timing, even though I mean
he
it
was
wasn't
fucking people up, bumping people in the bars.
it wasn't a slapstick, fight scene or by any means, but it was just used in a way to really undermine and fuck with the villains.
Yeah, I think you can link a scene like this one in Glimmer Man also in terms of like you said, almost a comedy but not comedy style to a similar scene he did a couple years before in a movie called Out for Justice,
Yeah.
which is the famous anybody seen Richie?
Yeah.
And he goes into the bar and beats people up with pool cues and all kinds of stuff. So, but it's a similar feel to that scene in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, Len, it's your turn again. What's your second pick?
I have got, much like we had mentioned with Orion's pick with Steven Seagal and his very distinctive combat aikido choreography, I am going with another actor in film that I believe the choreography is very unique. It's a style that, again, I really have never seen another actor really capture as well, or choreographer even capture the style. I am going with the infamous dojo fight scene in
Oh
a
yeah.
90 movie, The Perfect Weapon.
Weapon,
Jeff
yes.
Yeah.
There we go. Nice. Absolutely.
This
So
scene is Jeff Speak, who is a obviously real life American Kempo
yeah.
martial artist, trained with legendary Ed Parker, who passed away literally before this movie had just come out.
Oh wow.
He passed away. The movie's dedicated to Ed Parker, who was kind of the founding father, if you will, of American Kempo, and Jeff was pretty much his star pupil, aside from training people like Elvis and stuff like that. But but Kempo, we had not seen that, much like Steven Seagal and Aikido. In American cinema, we had not seen this brilliant, and it's really beautiful. If you watch The Perfect Weapon and you can't get fired up in the first minute of watching it, doing his Kempo kata to "I Got the Power" by Snap or whoever did that song, it's awesome and it's really beautiful to watch. And the choreography and the fight scene though super unique. The fight scene itself features a really legend in his own right, James Liu, who I believe is still a working actor in martial arts and action movies and stuff to this day. He has just a 200 film credits, probably, James Liu. Big Trouble in Little China, I believe he's in that. He's done some big movies like this, like Perfect Weapon, which was a theatrical release back in 90, 91, something like that. But yeah, I think I chose it because again, it's brutal. And not only did I choose it for that, is I think in the fight scene, and we didn't mention this at all yet in terms of how fight scenes play out, but the use of slow motion. I think the use of
Yes.
slow motion was really timed really, really well. Sometimes slow motion comes across as really just trite and stupid.
Well,
But in this particular fight scene, I think the moments they chose to do it are perfect. They didn't
Not-
overdo it.
not only that, but they carry a kind of signature look to them. And if you've only seen, if you didn't know any better and you watch this movie and you notice the slow motion parts and you think, well, that looks like something familiar. Well, that is probably due to the director. The director name is Mark DeSalle or DeSalle, I believe. And he has only directed one other movie where you would see this particular slow motion effect. Guess what that is? Fucking Kickboxer.
It's Kickboxer with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Absolutely.
He was kicking the tassel with his fucking leg, and the tassel was falling down.
Yeah.
And he's talking about kicking the Tom Poe. He's kicking like a building tassel to train and stuff like that. So yeah. Kickboxer's awesome. Gotta love Kickboxer. But yeah. My pick, my second fight scene is the dojo fight scene with Jeff Speakman and James Liu. Two of the other actors in it too. I cannot remember their names, but they're seen all throughout fight movies and martial arts, all that stuff. So that's my pick. And again, I went for uniqueness, much like I think Orion maybe intentionally did or not intentionally did, pick something unique. And my second choice, I went the same direction. I wanted to pick something unique that really how we probably have not seen again. Much like you don't see Aikido outside of Seagal, I don't know if we've seen Kempo without Mr. Speakman. So
right.
Yeah. Now we just got done because we wanted to make sure that we were like refreshed and current and up. We just got done watching that scene. Orion, what was your favorite part of that scene?
Well, there's so many parts. I've got to think about.
You can go for a fighting thing, or you can go for a dramatic thing. I like that he takes the sticks and just chucks them. You knew something because you knew he wasn't going to actually walk away.
Right.
So that was you knew some heavy shit was coming.
Well, there was one dude that he stood up against that he just started to waylay all the sticks. It looked like a drum solo was on the dude's chest, just all the way
Wait till you
up.
get to my third pick. Wait till you get to my.
Nice.
What do you got, kid?
Okay, well, let's move on to my second pick. And my second pick is let's see here because I got so many notes pulled up on the old computer. Okay, let's just go with. Oh, okay. Because my two choices are very similar, but they're also opposed in a certain way. I want to see where I'm gonna lead off on. Okay, I'm gonna lead off on John Carpenter's They Live. It is the infamous fight scene that goes on for 1,000 years. It is the scene between okay, so the synopsis I guess the synopsis for They Live is a guy, our hero, a guy that doesn't actually have a name in the film. Again, this is really weird because in Fight Club there was no name. He's just known as the narrator. And in this film, Roddy Piper's character is not named. Nobody ever mentions his name. He never introduces himself with a name. But in the credits, he's called Nada, standing for meaning nothing. But this is that infamous fight scene between Roddy Piper and what's his name? David Keith. And
I said it backwards, Keith David.
I think that's what I said. Yeah, I thought it was Keith David, but David Keith is probably correct.
Yeah, it's Keith David. It's Keith David. I got it written here. So Roddy Piper, and obviously Roddy Piper from back in the day, WWF wrestling, and Keith David. This is the infamous fight scene that lasts for I want to say it's approximately 7 minutes, and it just goes on and on forever, and it's really just the thing about this fight scene is I'm pulling it out because it is so novel, and I think novel is the key word, and that's why everybody kind of knows it and points at it and goes, the fight. Like even South Park many years back did a goof, like a shot for shot, hit for hit goof.
Oh, with the cripple fight?
Yeah, the cripple fight. The cripple fight was completely it was shot for shot that entire fight scene from They Live 1988.
Do you think Griffin versus Chicken was inspired by that?
What is that?
Family Guy's Peter Griffin and some chicken.
Dude, knowing how much that God damn it, what's his name?
Seth Meyers.
No, not Seth Meyers. Seth MacFarlane.
Seth MacFarlane.
Knowing how much Seth MacFarlane loves, because he's in our wheelhouse. He's our same age, and knowing how much he loves to pay tribute to everything that he grew up with, no matter what project he's doing, it's all about callbacks. I'm sure the chicken fights with Peter Griffin are a love letter to the They Live fight. Absolutely. But here's the thing that I like about it. I like how much effort they put into it. Because seriously, when John Carpenter handed everybody the script, when it got to the part with the fight scene, it had 5 blank pages, and on the top of the first page, it just said, "They fight." That's all it said. And so, because he knew at that point, at that stage in the script writing, he had Roddy Piper and he had a fight choreographer, and I didn't write down his freaking name, and I'm so sorry for that. But what happened was Keith David and
Roddy Piper.
Yeah, and Roddy Piper got together and they said, okay, we are going to leave it to us. We are going to create this fight that is going to be non-stop. And they spent I believe 2 weeks with a little bit of aid from the fight choreographer they had at the time. But just spending 2 weeks in John Carpenter's backyard, going over every move, making it the most raw brawl that they could try to capture on film. And here's the reason why I'm picking my fights because of how they play into the narrative of a film. That's kind of the direction I'm coming from. Again, because I'm not concentrating on the actual fighting styles or anything. I'm coming from a different place. And here's what I like and don't like about that scene. And it's going to make sense when you compare it to my third pick. But John Carpenter allowed for a happy accident. And because he did, we got this amazing novel fight scene. But the thing is, when you hear David Keith speak about it, and of course, poor Roddy, he's no longer with us. But when they spoke about it in interviews over the years, they would say things like, well, the fight itself was like a story in and of itself. And it played to the larger kind of narrative of the film. And when I look at that film, I don't think that's what happened at all. I don't see a story being played out, because if you watch the characters and you see their interactions, there's nothing that justifies a brawl like that lasts that long. Their characters aren't that contentious to each other. And I don't think that the fight necessarily plays into the narrative of the movie. I think the fight is so spectacular and such a creative endeavor in and of itself that's why it's important, and that's why people like it. It's like this shining moment in what is otherwise essentially a glorified B movie. But so much work went into that fight that it kind of stands on its own. But I don't necessarily agree with how it's romanticized as far as the narrative is concerned. I think it sticks out because it doesn't. It's like a respite from the rest of the movie, and doesn't actually make sense within the confines of the actual story. So that's why I picked it, because it's a novelty, because I think it does stand out, and they did put in so much work. It's not good because it's bad. It's not bad good. It's legitimately good. I think if in 1988 they did have YouTube, that fight would work as a 7-minute clip on its own, just as a self-contained piece of entertainment. But so that's what I think about it. Now, I was 9 when They Live came out, so I have very fond, nostalgic childhood memories of that fight and that movie. I remember everything about that time period, and I definitely like it stuck with me as a kid. That's why I'm kind of bringing it. It resonated with anybody that was alive at that time. So what do you know, Orion, about the fight? What do you think about it?
All I know is that 8 years later, Roddy Piper would tell both Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart that they don't know nothing about fighting for a long period of time. And he's going to, for the WWF Championship, there's going to be an Iron Man match. Nobody leaves. There must be a winner. I think that fight, if my memory serves me correct, was hour 20 minutes long.
Wow.
And Shawn Michaels won the belt. No, what? I'm sorry. Bret Hart won the belt because there was a screw job later on in Canada.
That okay, I appreciate that. What does that have to do with the movie?
What does that have to do with the movie?
Yes. Thoughts. Len, you saw the list a few weeks ago before we started to do this show. Did you have any thoughts about the They Live fight?
I like how you put in that it really is kind of a novelty fight. I mean, it probably, when you look at weird things into films that don't fit maybe quite right, obviously this fight scene would fall into that, in my opinion. And hence the novelty tag on it, but I think it's correct. Yeah. Also with it though, if you watch the fight, you could see how it has that improv feel to it. I mean, knowing like Orion might know about pro wrestling and stuff, they play in the choreography. You can see they play to the strength. What they do. There's a suplex in it by Roddy Piper. He's probably 30 of those in his lifetime. You know what I mean? So I mean, they were playing to strengths. But the one thing I think I like best about this fight scene is if you said, forget the camera angle cuts and stuff like that, but let's just say you had one camera rolling the whole time, you could conceivably say, watching that scene, there could be no cuts. You could have just filmed it. When you looked at the fight and how it broke down, there was those natural pauses where the actors seemed to catch their breath, those kinds of things. You could have filmed it all in one take.
Yeah. You could have done you could have set up 3 or 4 different cameras from very specifically chosen angles and just done all the cuts and editing, just recording the fight live. Now, I believe they did quite a few takes, but they put so much into this fight, and I like it as a labor of love. They put so much into this fight that even though they did so many takes, they were still so careful to make sure that everything matched. And I respect that as a creative person. I respect that as a person that films things, and that has to edit. So I kind of love it from not only the fight, kind of, I don't want to say quote unquote choreography. There was choreography in there, of course, but as a filmmaker, as a person that makes things, I appreciate it from that level too. And that's why that's my second pick. So, I just go, for those millennials out there that are listening to the show that don't know what I'm talking about, there's going to be a link in the description. Go check out They Live, if only for that fight scene. Orion.
Yeah, if only for the fight scene too. There's some great actors and actresses in it. Meg Foster is in it. She went on to do Masters of the Universe and Blind Fury and lots of really cool movies in that kind of 85 to 95-ish kind of time period. Good actress. Paper, we mentioned David.
Absolutely.
And this really, to me, I love The Thing with John Carpenter. It's one of my favorite movies. But aside from The Thing, I know he didn't, I mean, obviously his stuff speaks for itself. But They Live, for me personally, is probably my second favorite film in his acumen there in his library. So I like The Thing and I like They Live.
Yeah, and oddly enough, Keith David, the only 2 times he worked with John Carpenter was it was those 2 movies. So let me go ahead and to keep this ball rolling, let's get to your third and final pick, Orion.
Yes. My third pick has been argued by many people as the greatest movie fight scene that has ever existed.
Oh boy.
Now, some people believe that the fight scene from They Live is that type of fight scene, just because of its length and all the stuff that was going on.
Oh, I know where you're going.
But
okay.
I can, after seeing the scene, after watching the scene, and after actually studying it, I can see why people claim it is, or it should be, the best fight scene in movies. It's from a movie called Ip Man. It's pronounced IP Man.
Yeah.
All right. It was done in 2008, and it's about the master instructor of, I believe that's Wing Chun, and legend has it that he was the guy who taught Bruce Lee how to fight.
Is that legend or fact?
I simply don't know. Approximate.
Yeah, we are the approximate podcast.
Yes.
Len, do you know, was the Ip Man was he Bruce Lee's teacher?
You know that I honestly do not know that.
Wow. Okay, but that's the only thing I knew about this movie when Ryan came to me was that he was that legend, and I thought that was the thing. So, well, okay. Well, what is the fight?
Anyway, the particular fight scene is that they're in kind of a prison area where there's a cell with a bunch of Chinese people in it, and what they do is they have some of these people come out and fight against these trained guards. They use them for exercises. Well, they send Ip Man's best friend out there, and he gets beat to death, and that makes him upset. So Ip Man yells at the guard, tells him, "Look, I'll fight all you sons of bitches." And the main guard said, "Pick 8 of my best guys." And he says, "You pick 8 of your best guys. I'm going to whoop their ass." So they have him come out, and
is there anything on the line except for vengeance for Ip Man, or
in other words, other movies regarding Ip Man? Or?
No. What I'm saying is he's fighting all these people because they killed his friend, right?
Right.
And like, if he doesn't, like,
if he doesn't perform, he will die with them.
Okay, and if he does, he just gets to walk away. Is he like?
They first of all, they show him a little bit more respect, and secondly, the let's just say the superintendent who's been watching this goes on. He's a martial artist too, and wants to fight Ip Man. So you fight through all these guys, then you're good enough to fight me.
But he's just so I know, because I haven't seen the movie, and I'm kind of making stuff up in my head, and I want you to correct me. Is he forced to fight, or is he choosing to fight?
He's choosing to fight.
Okay, so he can just walk away.
Yeah, he could let that shit slide.
Okay. Because now when I reflect back on the scene that you showed me on this particular fight, now that makes sense, because I could have also, without context, I could have also taken it as he had to fight these motherfuckers to win his life.
Yeah. Well, what we saw was the edited part with him walking outside and actually standing up to fight.
Right.
What we didn't see is his friend getting killed, and Ip Man balling up his fist saying, "All right, let me show you how Chinese Wing Chun is really supposed to go.
Gotcha.
Let me express myself." And they let him out, and he puts on this incredible show, severing nerves, breaking bones.
Oh God, it was so brutal.
He hits this one dude so many times. When he stops punching him, his chest is still convulsing from the hits.
Dude, it was as far as, like, this is the one fight scene that you showed me. It was so, there's 2 words that come to mind when I think of this particular fight scene. How efficient it was,
and how visceral
it was. That's a very good word. How visceral it was.
He was I think he was an angry dude.
But the thing is, they don't even, it's not even, it's glorified by your imagination, because they don't make a big deal out of, like, it's like a lot of the worst hits are taken from a master shot, like a wide shot. You just have to be looking and just kind of notice it out of the corner of your eye when somebody's joints breaks the other way, and it happens so fast it is so perfectly brutal, but so beautiful in its design.
Yes,
I noticed that right away.
they don't call it the dance of death for nothing. But it's I would argue that to be one of the best scenes that's ever come out.
Now, I asked you, Len might know something about this. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I asked you, Orion, when we first saw this, or when you first showed me this scene, I wondered, this is supposed to be the guy, assuming the legend is right, this is supposed to be the guy that taught Bruce Lee. So who did they find that had the balls to choreograph the scene for the man that taught Bruce Lee? I wanted to know who the fight choreographer was.
Yeah, well,
Right.
for
That
that,
this film, I don't know. I mean, I know Donnie Yen obviously is the
yeah,
main actor. But
I was just
I'm
about
pretty
to
sure
say
he
that.
doesn't. I'm pretty sure Donnie Yen doesn't do the choreography though. Um, Corey Yen jumps out off the top of my head, but I'm not sure if it's Corey Yen. He went on to do like The Matrix and all sorts of stuff like that. But he also started in the '80s. He directed a big B movie that I'm a big fan of. Red Letter Media fans that are listening, I mentioned this movie a couple times because I love it so much. It's No Retreat, No Surrender 2,
Nice.
Nice.
with Lauren Avedon and Matthias Hughes. I mentioned that, but Corey Yen directs that film. And I know he went on to action choreograph a bunch of things. So I think he does the choreography for this fight scene. I'm without me just looking at the net though and jumping on it. I'm not sure.
Sure.
Yeah, it looks like a Corey Yen fight scene.
Len, is there anything specific about that particular fight scene that you appreciate or that you like?
I think the big thing is with this one too is not just coordinating like a 3 or 4-on-1 fight scene like I would have mentioned with like the choice of like the Perfect Weapon fight scene I had mentioned where he's taking on 3 or 4 guys in the fight scene. There's like 50 people in this fight scene.
Yeah, there really are.
It's all over. So, and the trick to making these things look good too, though, and some of this is in the directing, not just the choreography, but you never want to see like people just like standing around like they're waiting to like jump into the fight.
Right. That's another thing that I was gonna mention. That's gonna actually play into my third pick. But for this, it's
there's always motion and movement in the background. Nobody looks like they're standing around jumping to wait to jump in the fight or anything.
The pacing. The pacing of the fight, given the circumstances, are as realistic as you can make them. You know, it seems it's a logical fight. It's a logical fight given the number of people surrounding this man. At least as logical as you can make it.
The way they pace it too, though, a lot of times is in their choice of the cutaways that they use to pace the fight along. They break it up and use slow motion, a time or two there. They do a cut up, close up where a guy's getting the punch to the shudo or punch to the neck or whatever it was there. So you get those close ups or that slow motion that breaks up, like you'd mentioned. They seem to have that wide master shot kind of thing that a lot of the fight is done in.
Right.
Well, it makes it even more impressive when you shoot in a wide shot like that and nothing looks like stagnant ever.
Exactly. I was just about to say that because you're really tempting fate. If you have a wide shot, you have to be on the ball. As far as a choreography, right. As far as your blocking goes, you have to be on the ball or else it gives everything away.
Yep. And it could be something that's, 20 feet away from, what actual fight piece is happening, but somebody, man, you've got to clutch your chest or your arm or shake your head around or do something, everybody's always got to be doing something. And right. That's hard to do.
Yeah. A really good tool for that, it seems to me. Now, I've never choreographed a fight or did blocking for a fight or anything like that in my shooting experience, but it would seem to me that and I'm sure there's a lot of different ways to go about this, but I'm sure that one of the, like, your biggest tool is that your protagonist has to be so, he has to be such a potential menace. You have to instill fear, and fear can go a long way to kind of keeping so many people back. Like when you got a guy that is so adept at his craft that he's fucking people up, that it would keep people away, at least a little bit, keep people away, because they're like, I don't know if I want to fuck with this guy. I'm not going to jump in, because the illusion is making sure that people don't just like dogpile them, because that would in real life, you'd imagine people would dogpile a guy, especially when it's that many against one. So you have to have a protagonist that is so dangerous as far as perception goes, that it would allow for people to go, I'm gonna stand back a little bit, and it makes sense, to kind
And
of.
not only that, though, that's addressed in the choreography for this fight scene too, though, because
Yeah.
there is some scenes where you think that may, or little parts where that may happen, and he ends up creating space to
Right.
fight by grabbing somebody and throwing them off in the distance, and you can see where the main character there by Yen is like creating those little pockets where he's not going to get dogpiled. So that really is put in the choreography in there to give him like space.
Hell yeah. Fucking, I love it. And again, all these links are going to be in the description. I'm totally going to check out it, man. So let's go ahead and skip to you, Len. And what's your third pick?
My final pick here for the podcast is we saw the David Carradine one I chose with Chuck Norris.
Yep.
Realistic hand to hand, slugging it out, pretty realistic fight scene. We went to the crazy, very martial arts specific and using American Kempo with the perfect weapon, where he takes on 3 or 4 guys in the dojo. My last pick, though, is now not on just martial arts focused, it is weapons focused, where the entire fight scene is nearly all like weapons based. The wonderful 1993 picture, Mission of Justice.
Mission of Justice.
It is on Amazon Prime right now. Go make your night wonderful by watching it. Grab a Smirnoff or whatever and go watch Mission of Justice. You will love it. Email me or Twitter me and say, Len, I just watched it. Thank you. You will do it. Mission of Justice. Matthias Hughes, Cindy Paz, Karen Shepard, a real life martial arts champion, a female martial arts champion. Jeff Wincott, obviously, his resume speaks for itself. Great movie. Brigitte Nielsen, back before she got real weird, Brigitte Nielsen is the villain in the film. That Brigitte Nielsen, who was married to Stallone and Ivan Drago's wife in Rocky IV, is the villain in the picture. Anyways,
Flavor Flav.
The scene I chose was the gauntlet scene where his character looking to get into this secret society of like crime fighter. It's a pretty weird society that Brigitte Nielsen runs in the film. Well, you earn your keep in there by showing you can fight. So he grabs his weapons, does a bunch of Steve Chase Killer Be Killed style backflips into the middle of this gauntlet of 30 men with all these Filipino fighting stick weapons, or Eskrima sticks, if you will, and it's on. It's all a blender of Eskrima stick weapons for the next few minutes, and mixed in with some kicks and punches and stuff like that. So, but I chose this because of the crazy weapon choreography. Jeff Wincott went on to do stick fighting in a couple of his films. He's obviously pretty adept at it, obviously, and his stunt people and choreographers have taught him well. But he is a real life martial artist as well. I believe in Taekwondo, and you can see that when he starts to throw kicks and punches, you can say, "Oh, that looks like Taekwondo." Much like Chuck Norris or Seagal or all we mentioned, their styles. You can say, "Oh, that looks like that style." Jeff Wincott's no different. It looks like Taekwondo. The stick fighting here is brutal. If you can watch this scene without going ooh or ah or when you watch it, I challenge you to do that, because there is several of those moments, and including one moment where he hits one opponent what must be 35 times in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
He runs up his body just tattooing him with these sticks for literally 30 seconds. So yeah, he hits him 200 times with them, but whatever. Watch the scene. It's really awesome. It's definitely, out of all the Eskrima fight stick movies I've watched, I've seen a bunch of them too. It's probably my favorite like stick fighting type scene in a movie. So
yeah, I pulled up some this is another one. We just went over this before we went live. And I pulled up some facts about this movie, some weird trivia. Apparently, Jeff Wincott, he had never studied in the style of stick fighting before. And his training consisted of a single 45-minute session with I'm gonna get the word wrong, but it's the Eskrima master.
Yes.
Burton Richardson. So he did 45 minutes worth of work, and that was as much stick fighting as he knew.
So basically, what
would have actually fought. I believe Richardson is actually an actor in the scene as well. I believe he's a white guy with black hair and stuff. He actually fights him in that fight sequence, I believe.
Oh, okay. So he's probably one of the dudes lined up on either side.
He is. Yeah, he is.
Okay. Yeah.
He's the whitest looking guy in the scene. And it's probably, he's got black hair, full head of black hair. I believe that's him.
Yeah. Now, another weird fact was originally this was conceived as a sequel to Martial Law 2.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, great movie. Great movie. That's on Prime. People, go watch it.
But it was supposed to at the time that this was imagined as the official part 2 of Martial Law, it was supposed to star Cynthia Rothrock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But when this became the film that it is, she was pulled out, and then her character was replaced by Karen Shepard. So that's a weird little
because they're both real life women's champions and weapons. Karen Shepard's the real deal too. I mean, obviously didn't go on to the career that Rothrock had, but Karen Shepard, outside of this, where she gets to fight and do a lot of stuff in Mission of Justice, in America released as called Eliminator Woman. It is with real life kickboxing champ Jerry Trimble, who's still a working actor and does some big movies to this day. Jerry Trimble is in it. The Michael Quizzy, who taught Jean-Claude Van Damme martial arts and is also plays Tong Po, is in it. It is called Eliminator Woman. I think in some countries it's called Terminator Woman. It's pretty hard to find, but try, because it's a super awesome movie. And Karen Shepard, that is, I think, her only lead vehicle is an actress. So
nice. Well, it seems like it's my turn to kind of round out the show. So it's my third pick. And my third pick is it's a scene that I've always appreciated from afar. And it's a scene that I knew about for a long time, but I didn't actually see the movie for a while. And it sticks in my head as one of the, again, I'm coming from a narrative point of view. I'm not coming from the actual fighting point of view, but let's see where we go. It's OldBoy. OldBoy. It's another famous fight scene that takes up super famous. This is another one that takes up about 5 minutes of time, around the 5-minute mark. And this is the one that's going to juxtapose the They Live fight scene. That was my second pick. Now, OldBoy. Now, this is, to make clear, this is the 2003 version. Okay, this is the one that's directed by Chan-wook Park. I'm so afraid of saying these names wrong. Chan-wook Park, I believe. And
trust me, I say Shokusaki all the time, and people jump all over for that. So I have somewhat of an impediment. I know it's Kozagi, I believe is how you say it, but I say Fusaki all the time. So people are going to jump on you either way. I love you guys, but I'm sure I'll say Shokusaki.
We're trying. We mean no offense. We try. Okay, so here's the thing that I love about this particular fight scene. Oh boy. Narratively, again, I'm coming from a narrative point of view, and how any particular scene, but in this case a fight scene, how in this case a fight scene progresses a movie. Okay. Every shot, they say, and it's a good rule for storytelling. Every shot should progress the story along. You should, not have any wasted shots. And this is what I think is so special about this particular fight scene, because it almost sounds, when I watch it, it almost looks like it's a commentary on what it is to. It's like a encapsulated version of the hero's journey. Okay, so in this particular fight scene, it occurs in a corridor, a hallway, where our hero, OldBoy, is fighting almost countless numbers of goons, essentially. And in the scene, it's a linear scene, by which I mean the camera moves strictly from left to right in a forward progression, and a left to right progression from a start point to an end point. And if you watch the fight, the fighting part isn't the thing that's most important. The fight in and of itself isn't the important part. It's in 5 minutes, it encapsulates the struggle and kind of underpins what it is to be a storyteller, to tell stories, what stories are. It is resolving a conflict, which is what all storytelling is. And in this fight scene, in a very visual, linear fashion that's almost like on the nose, in this 5 minutes, it shows you that a character goes from left to right and goes through all of the stages and phases of overcoming a conflict. And so when we start, we have OldBoy that is on the left side of the screen and a huge gaggle of goons on the right. And
Gaggle?
yeah,
Gaggle?
Google?
Hansel.
Hansel. He starts from the left side of the screen, and he is determined and bound to get to the right side of the screen. Now, of course, in larger narrative, there's an actual objective, but visually in this scene, he's going from left to right, and the left is the beginning and the right is the end. And we are just because of the structure of the scene and the visual poetry of the scene, we are made to understand that there's a beginning and an end. And so he starts, and our character, his purpose is so driven in him that he is cocky, and he spends the first, I'd say, 15 to 30 seconds expunging all of his energy and wasting all of his energy to combat all these goons. And it kind of, you can see he wears himself out, and he's struggling and he's fighting, and they get him down on the ground, but he's putting up the good fight. But they get him down on the ground, and about halfway through the fight, he gets a knife to the back. And okay, so this is one of the most important things to kind of concentrate on. When I say left to right, we don't see a character that constantly stays on the left side of the screen and is moving forward. We know that this man's purpose is so powerful because he does everything in his power to occupy the middle of the screen. Now, of course, this is the difference between this elongated fight scene and the elongated fight scene in They Live. In this particular fight scene, it is a mark of vision. It is a storytelling technique. Whereas They Live's huge, long fight scene was, let's let serendipity happen and create a thing that's in and of itself. But
That's a great comment.
But in this one, we always see our protagonist, he's always trying to stay the center of power, which occupies the center of the screen, and he's constantly. It's not a pretty fight. It's a lot of brawling. It's a lot of gang members, but he's so powerful and he's so driven by his cause that he's almost superhuman, which is the only thing that gives him like leeway and credence for believability in this particular fight. Because this is another one of these situations where it can be a dog pile, but it never turns out being a dog pile because everybody's treated as if they were actual humans, which means he wears down people and people wear him down. And, real life fights aren't pretty. You get tired really quick, especially if you're not, a super, if you're just a thug, you're going to get tired quick. And once you see the story, you know that he's just a guy too. He's a guy with a passion and a mission. And he's just essentially a normal guy. But anyway, he struggles and he fights. And in this elongated scene, which kind of works like a video game, as it were, scrolling from left
side to
to
the
right, and it wasn't intentional. But side scroller video games work off of storytelling as well. So that, it's not, it's correlation, not causation.
Right.
But once we get to like the 75% mark of the fight, we start to see that our protagonist, OldBoy, gains ground and winds up not towards completely the end of the scene, but he's at the 75% mark and he's weared down, and he is weared down so much that as much as the goons are still a threat, they're tired and you can see it. And he's battled his way past the halfway point in the scene and turns around and is not fleeing for the door, even though he's at the 75% mark. No, he still knows that the goons are a threat, and he still has to no longer battle forward, but he's now in a defensive mode.
Right.
And he's defending his ability to get to the end of the corridor. And so from beginning to end, you kind of see and this is what I love about movie making. This is the kind of fight scene that propels a story forward, and it is built for movie making. It is built for the language of cinema. A man that is struggling and then maintains control, then loses control, and then defends the control he fought so hard for, with an obvious deterrent, which is the knife in his back that he got halfway through the fight, and then finally makes it to the end. And you're rewarded as a viewer once he gets to the end of this fight with this he's right at the front of the camera, and you see all the carnage he's struggled so hard to lay behind him, and he smiles at the camera. But that's false, because what you don't realize is he's not smiling because he won and he got to the quote unquote end of the stage. No, he's smiling because the door that opens up in front of him that was at the other side of that hallway is a whole new mess of goons that he has to fight. So he's smiling because he knows, he understands the irony of how hard he fought and how this is going to start all over again, except this way, in a vertical rise.
Right.
And the cool thing about the movie is it dispenses with the vertical fight.
Right.
We don't even need to see this whole new batch of goons going straight up. The scene cuts from him smiling to a shot of the doors opening where there's a whole new batch of goons, and then immediately cuts to whatever floor the elevator opens up on, and all those new goons falling out of the elevator because he has dispensed with them as well. It was no longer necessary to see that he had to. We didn't need to see that fight because it was established in that first fight how hard he was willing to fight to meet his end goal. And there's just something so amazing and poetic about that in such a cinematic way that really not only services the story, but kind of comments on the story. It's like that one corridor fight scene is it's an answer to the movie in and of itself. It's saying, I don't know, Len, what do you think?
I think when I watch a scene, and I've seen this movie several times, but I will say this is probably one of the top maybe 5 fight scenes, like right off at the top of my head, where you had mentioned this, so you kind of stole my what I was going to compare it to here was going to be a video game, and
Yeah.
this fight scene feels like a video game. Um, Another fight scene I was going to kind of draw to it in a lesser sense, but in a great movie, is the 1995 movie called The Hunted, with Christopher Lambert
The
from
train.
Highlander.
The train
He
scene.
is on the train, correct. It's the train
Ah.
scene with the ninjas versus samurai, and it feels like a video game. I mean, you could see the power-ups, the bars of the heroes and everything as these ninjas are pouring at them and cutting faces off and all this stuff. But those two scenes have a similar feel to me. The thing that separates OldBoy to me is this is almost like master storytelling to fit the fight scene into the movie as well, though. I mean, it
Right.
feels like it's Tom Petty doing songwriting kind of thing. He is a
Right.
storyteller. He's more than just a musician. He's a John Denver. He tells stories. He's not just a musician. And OldBoy, to me, this fight scene feels like that, where the
Right.
narrative is so important. It's just not a scene they decided to film this way, like you said, in the camera work and the fashion there. I mean, all that's intentional. None of this happened by accident. I mean, they purposefully shot that
Right.
scene as they did to fit this style picture.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
like yeah, in the over
most
in the
about-
in the overall movie, given the context of the movie, this is a man that we expect to see fighting his way through the thing. But the fighting is never the subject matter. The fighting that has to happen because of the nature of the story services the story. It's never
Right.
it's never a thing to look cool for coolness sake. You know, it
Oh.
serves the story.
Well, if you like that, there was a movie that came out, I want to say late 70s, early 80s. It was a movie called The Duelist.
Ah,
If my
yeah.
memory serves me correct, this was Ridley Scott's first foray in the movies. It starred Harvey Keitel and
oh yeah.
David Keith. I'm sorry, no, David Carradine.
David Carradine.
And
They're two very different men.
yes, they are. Yes.
Yeah,
Almost said Keith.
Duelist, I don't think Carradine's in the Duelist. But somebody's got an internet movie database, that one. I don't think Carradine's in that one.
You sure?
Yeah, we're gonna have to look that one up.
Oh well.
Yeah, look that one up, because I own like
Approximate.
literally like 10 of his movies, and I don't remember seeing The Duelist in David Carradine's library.
Let's
We
see
need to find that
here.
out, because that's gonna bother me.
The Duelist. See now
I
see
literally I've got VHS movies that were never released in America from I'm a big David Carradine fan.
The
The Duelist.
DUL.
And that was, you say that was what's his name? Ridley Scott's first movie?
That's what I thought. Oh, that was easy.
Yeah.
No, hold on. This
Who's-
is it. That's 2016. We're not talking about that one.
I like how prepared we are.
It was 2016. Really?
That threw me for a loop. That question threw.
Yeah.
Wow, they're talking about the remake that was done in 2016.
Oh boy.
Uh,
That's okay. Through the power of editing, it will look like we know what we're doing.
It will look like-
Hey,
I
Len,
have to,
go ahead.
yeah, I have to know the answer to this, though. It's gonna.
I know it's bugging the hell out of me too.
1977.
I know it's a Ridley Scott film. He's
Yeah.
correct there. I'm positive it's Ridley Scott.
Full cast and crew.
Okay, what do we got?
We have Harvey Keitel, Keith Carradine.
Keith Carradine.
Keith Carradine.
Could you hold on just a minute, Lane? In your face, Keith Carradine. In your
Look,
face.
this whole podcast has been a stew of Davids and Keiths and Carradines. Of course we would get it wrong.
Oh God.
Well,
So there we
not too
go.
long before The Duelist, then Keith Carradine would have done. What movie was that? I want to say not a karate movie or anything like that. A dramatic. I think Nashville was the name of the movie. He wrote the song "I'm Easy for It." It's a great tune.
Okay.
Keith Carradine wrote that. I believe he won an award for writing the song, actually.
You remember?
Anyways,
do you remember the
by
movie
Keith
The
Carradine.
Long Riders?
Wait, the what?
Oh,
Do you
that's a
remember
great movie. They're all in.
And all the brothers in that?
Yeah, they're all in it. The Quades are in that. The Carradines are in it. The Keaches are in that. If you're a brother and you've got another brother in Hollywood doing stuff, you're in The Long Ride.
Oh shit. You know what? It seems like that kind of I think that's it. That's all of our picks right now.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask you this, Len. Unless I'm like catching the wrong angle, did you cut your hair?
No, my hair's here.
Where is
It's
it?
in a braid.
Oh, you scared me, man.
No, it's a braid.
Oh man.
Just gonna see my picture down there.
Yeah, no, they're gonna see it. Yeah, no,
Oh.
they'll be able to see it.
An attempt at the Duncan McLeod cut.
Hold on.
Oh, you had me freaked out, man.
Nope, it's there. I mean, it's all kind of
Nice. There
I
we
am
are.
Connor McLeod of the Clan McLeod, and I am immortal.
No, it's there. So
Sweet. Hey, just want to make sure. I mean, hey, if you get to cut your hair, that's fine. That's fine. But we all know and love Len Kabasinski as we need your hair, man.
no, it's hasn't gone anywhere yet. So I'm 43. So
That's
it'll probably
copyrighted and copyrighted and trademarked,
It's
man.
copyrighted.
That's the Kabasinski look.
Nah, yeah. If it starts to fall out, really badly fall out, I'll probably go to that Jason. I'll say it wrong, Statham look or whatever.
Oh no,
okay.
no, you're fine. You're doing great. You're doing great. I just got worried
Yeah, I
for
think
a second.
for 43, I'm not too worried yet. So it's doing okay.
Yeah. Hey, and you're in good
But
company. We got.
This was
Do
so
I?
hard for me to pick 3 fight scenes though, because just this is my life in movies kind of thing. This is what I watch all the time.
I know, and that's why we wanted to contact you, because we knew it'd be right up your alley. And we can always do a part 2.
Oh yeah.
We can always reconfigure our list.
Anytime, because I could go. This is a long. You're talking years worth of conversations here for me, literally.
Awesome.
Like I had mentioned with the fight scene from The Hunted, I could have chose that easily. I love that fight scene. I didn't even pick a fight scene from like Revenge of the Ninja or all these ninja American Ninja, Michael Dudikoff pictures, or all this stuff that I love. Yeah, it's funny you brought up martial law, because I just watched it all. They're on Prime now, and I just watched the first one with David Carradine as the villain. Chad McQueen and Cynthia Rothrock are in it. Jeff Wincott. You've got Billy Drago, a great actor who's I guess like a shady police chief or something in it. I love Billy Drago. Still a working actor to this day, I believe. But anyways, I'm getting off on a tangent. But there's a
Not at all.
shit ton of
No, this is great. I love the
shit ton of
enthusiasm. I love the enthusiasm because look, again, I'm odd man out here, and as much I love all this information, I love that it gives me something to kind of research and look forward to, and a new passion to pursue. So, yeah, we can get in deep so long as you're like willing to come on. Did you have a good time?
I had a blast. This is I could talk about
awesome.
Years on end, trust me.
So
but yeah, I try to pick films too that are available to see or easily available to watch. That's why Mission of Justice is for the Amazon Prime people, because that's normally what I watch. It is for free on Prime. Perfect Weapon is on Prime.
Yeah.
Lone Wolf McQuade, I do not know is it on Prime, but that's a pretty easily available film of Chuck Norris's. So. But the other 2 are free to watch on Prime. Go check them out. Mission of Justice is fucking awesome.
Yes.
Go have a good night.
Yeah. Well, now before we go, we got to get your plugs in. Then we're gonna do our plugs, and then we'll do an official goodbye. So why don't you go ahead and tell and again, there's going to be links to everything you just said, everything that was said over the podcast, and everything you're about to say now. We're going to create links in the description for everything. So go ahead, and what's going on with Len right now that you want to put out there into the world?
Yeah, I'd say new stuff for me that I've got 3 new movies coming out in the next 5 months. Blood Prism, which is my first shot at. I am not acting in the film. I am not in the movie. I co-wrote it, directed it, and of course executive produced it. It is more of a dark comedy that kind of involves an art gallery owner, a woman, a female art gallery owner, that hears voices that tells her to kill like distraught people, like people suffering from depression and stuff. She thinks she's doing God's work by killing people basically that are suffering in that.
I
fashion.
saw the trailer for that.
Oh, did you?
So,
Yes. It's gonna be pretty good, actually.
yeah, Blood Prism. It's my first attempt at something that is not fight scene oriented. It is all character based, story
Oh
based.
man. Oh, dude,
My
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, my special effects ace monster Mark Kazabuki is back. He does all the stuff there. And when I did a picture like this, I really treat the death scenes and the gore scenes as if they are the fight scenes of the movie. Because a
Wow.
lot of times fight scenes pace my movies along. If you're watching a movie like Fist of the Vampire or something like that, the fight scenes really serve as to get the movie to point A to point B. It's paced along by fights and action. Well, Blood Prism's not, and those moments are either nudity or the death scenes or the gore scenes in the picture. So Blood Prism is something really really different from me. Literally, it's going to come out at the end of February, so we're like a month away from Blood Prism coming out. And
Nice.
I've got a lot of photos up. I do have a Patreon that I started back. It's not quite a year old, but it's at patreon.com/killerwolffilms.
Right.
Videos every month. I do a forgotten movie den, if you will, where I'll pick a movie or two, and I don't critique the films or anything like that, but it's more of a hey, I love this movie growing up. I still love this movie. I'd like to bring it to your attention, kind of thing, and talk about it. So I have my forgotten movie den that I do every month. I do like a mailbag where I'll do a video mailbag and post that where I answer questions that fans or viewers will send to me. And of course, I do a bunch of stills and posters and all kinds of stuff that gets posted on the Patreon page. And then I'll do a monthly blog of what's going on, kind of some experiences I've had throughout my career, that kind of thing. So we really try to pack it for $2 worth that we ask campaign pledges. So the patreon.com/killerwolffilms. So
Nice.
that's ongoing. Right after Blood Prism, for those that hate me doing a dark comedy, weird artsy type film, Hellcat's Revenge is coming out a couple weeks after that. So that's
Nice.
from, that's from a distributor. I don't own the rights to that. That's signed away. Um, but the a lot of the pre-sale stuff is already up on Hellcat's Revenge. That's what you would think it would be by the title. It's like a biker down and dirty action picture. Uh,
Okay.
Sort of your classic biker revenge picture about a female gang member, biker club member. They're not a gang per se, but a female club leader gets murdered by a rival, like criminal one percenter biker gang called the Vipers. Uh, and it's the female club versus the male club in the movie. So it's a lot of fight scenes and guns and things like that. So Playboy centerfold Lisa Neld is the lead actress and plays Kat in Hellcat's Revenge. And for those that and I have got this, God bless you guys, everybody that's messaged me about it, waiting. I've got this message a lot, especially over the last is when am I going to do a bigger role? For whatever reason, people want to see me in my picture. So when are you going to do a bigger role, Len? Hellcat's Revenge is that picture. I play
All right.
Snake.
There we go.
I am the lead villain of the movie.
Nice.
You can really thank actress Donna Hamblin and some of the other cast members who kind of, I was not going to do it. I was going to be strictly behind the camera and write the picture, much like I did for a movie I did called Angel of Reckoning. I stayed behind the camera for the most part, had a little cameo, and that was that. And I was going to do that with Hellcat's Revenge. And as people were getting the script and stuff, a lot of the actors were like, "Well, you're Snake, right, Len?" And I'm like, "Well, no, but you have to, Len. You have to do this. It's a biker movie." And I've been a motorcycle rider my whole life, practically. So, but I'm glad they convinced me to do it. I had a lot of fun doing a larger acting role in it. So, Hellcat's Revenge comes out March 13th. Something that totally came out of the blue back in August here, so a few months back, I was presented with the opportunity to do Swamp Zombies 2.
Oh wow.
Never thought I would say, but a man named Newt from Philadelphia there wrote it. Nirwal Films wrote a script, and he said, "Len, let me write a script for Swamp Zombies 2 and present it." And I said, "Well, dude, I usually write my own scripts. You can feel free to take a shot at it, but if I throw it in the trash or don't read it, no hard feelings or whatever." But yeah, he wrote it. I thought it's different. It's very Running Man mixed with Survivor TV show mixed with a zombie movie. So
Wow.
it is very drop jacket, a little Escape from New York-ish in there a little bit too. So, but it involves our character from Swamp Zombies 1, the only returning character, Jack, gets dropped into his gets taken out of a black ops prison that the government had put him in after Swamp Zombies 1, because he has to go in and save or try to find this renegade contestant in a TV show called Lucky Stiffs, that the producer gets Jack out of prison to go get this renegade contestant. Long story short, it's a little more than that, but basically it.
Nice.
Basically, people competing for cash and prizes, but they have to survive like the zombie apocalypse in the TV show kind of thing. So Jack knows a thing or two about zombies, so he's the right man to send in for the job. So,
Okay.
so Swamp Zombies 2, I'm actually shooting a scene at the Karate Dojo here in Erie, Team TKO here. I'm shooting a scene about 3 or 4 weeks away, and then that'll pretty much be it. It'll be a wrap on all the photography pretty much for Swamp Zombies 2. So right
Okay.
now, I'd say about 85%, 90% of the movie is shot and completed. So look for Swamp Zombies 2 probably in like May.
Okay.
Excellent. Orion, don't go nowhere. Orion, go ahead and do our little pluggy thing that we do, and then we'll say a proper goodbye to Len Kabasinski. Jesus Christ, thank you so much for being on the show. Orion, do the thing.
The Approximate Podcast is a Dead Girl production. How nice of you to join us, Mr. McQuade. You can follow us on Twitter at ApproxPod. Get our podcast on iTunes. Oh God, no! But get our podcast on iTunes through your phone's podcast app. Be sure to leave a review. Visit the mothership, approximatepodcast.com. Whoop whoop for a complete list of episodes, all of our social media links, and merchandise. Most importantly, if you're not aware already, we have a Patreon account as well. Go to patreon.com/approximate podcast. I repeat, patreon.com/approximate podcast and become a patron. $5 gets you access to all of our free and paid content. Kid Burner Line.
Burner Lines 817-673-3704. Again, way back in the cheap seats, that's 817-673-3704. Go ahead and drop us a line. You can send us a text message, or you can just leave a voicemail, and we will address your questions and comments on the show. I guess that's it. So, Len Kabasinski, thank you so much for being on the show, and we will talk to you later. I hope you had a fun time doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And, dude, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming, Alan.
No, thanks for having me. I hope all the listeners enjoy the episode. Thanks, guys. Thanks for everyone for listening to this. Thank you guys for having me. I do it anytime. Like I said, this is my wheelhouse of filmmaking stuff that you're talking about. So go in and have a great weekend. Hopefully you have me back anytime. I got so much new stuff coming out all the time. Something's always going on. I forgot to the twitter.com/killerwolffilms. I love interacting with fans, viewers. If you hate my work, as long as you don't come in and just say, well, Len, you're the worst filmmaker ever. Okay, fine. But say why. Say my lighting sucks. Give me something to go off of, though. But I hope you'll check out my new works. I've really worked hard on a lot of techniques. So I think it started with Angel of Reckoning. So if you start with that and work yourself forward, the 2004 Len, Swamp Zombies Len is long gone. So, but that's for the better, in my opinion. So thanks for having me, and enjoy your night, guys. So,
all right, we'll see you later.
Take it easy.
Good night, everyone. Bye.
Laters.